The sun is far more than just a glowing ball of gas in the sky. It's the heart of our solar system and the source of life for all of us here on Earth. We rely on its heat, light, and energy to sustain our ecosystems, regulate our climate, and fuel the very foundation of life. But have you ever stopped to imagine what would happen if the sun suddenly became twice as big? What kind of impact would that have on our world? Would Earth still be the habitable paradise we know, or would we face cataclysmic consequences? In this video, we'll explore the extraordinary question, what if the sun were 2 times bigger? Prepare to dive into a fascinating journey of astronomical changes, cosmic forces, and what might await us if the sun grew exponentially larger. The sun's current stats and size. Before we explore what would happen if the sun doubled in size, it's important to first understand its current size and characteristics. Right now, the sun's diameter measures around 865,000 miles, which is more than 100 times the diameter of Earth. The sun's circumference is a staggering 2.7 million miles, making it the largest object in our solar system. However, if the sun were to double in size, it would have a diameter of 1.7 million miles and a circumference of approximately 5.5 million miles. Now, it's important to note that even with this dramatic increase in size, the sun would still be classified as a medium-sized star in comparison to others in the universe. There are stars out there that are hundreds of times larger than our own sun, but for our solar system, a sun twice its current size would completely change the dynamics of our cosmic neighborhood. What happens when the sun doubles in size? The sun generates its immense energy through a process called nuclear fusion. In the sun's core, hydrogen atoms are fused together to form helium, releasing vast amounts of energy in the form of light and heat. This fusion process has been happening for billions of years and will continue for billions more. But it also means that the sun is gradually losing mass. If the sun were to double in mass, it would mean more hydrogen atoms fusing into helium, resulting in a much brighter and more powerful sun. The sun already loses about 4 million tons of mass every second, and if it were twice as massive, this rate of mass loss would also double. As a result, the sun would not only become significantly brighter, but it would also become more efficient in producing energy. However, while this might sound like an improvement, the effects on Earth and the rest of the solar system would be far from positive. The Earth's fate, moving beyond the Goldilocks zone. One of the most immediate effects of a bigger sun would be the shifting of Earth's position within the solar system's Goldilocks zone, the habitable zone where conditions are just right for liquid water to exist. Currently, Earth sits in this perfect zone, receiving the right amount of heat and light to support life. However, with a much more powerful sun, the Goldilocks zone would move farther out, pushing Earth out of its comfortable spot. As the sun's energy output increases, the Earth would experience extreme heat. Water would start to boil, temperatures would soar to unbearable levels, and life as we know it would become unsustainable. Plants and animals would perish under the extreme heat, and the oceans would dry up. But that's not all. The very orbit of the Earth could be disrupted. A disrupted orbit. Falling into the sun? With the sun's mass doubled, its gravitational pull on Earth would increase dramatically. This shift in gravitational forces could result in Earth being pulled inward, causing our planet to spiral toward the sun. In this scenario, the Earth's orbit would no longer follow its current predictable path. As we got closer to the sun, the temperature would rise exponentially, pushing Earth even further from the possibility of life. If Earth were to continue falling toward the sun, it could ultimately be consumed by the expanding star. As the sun runs out of fuel and expands into a red giant, a phase it's expected to enter billions of years from now, Earth would be engulfed in its outer layers, bringing an end to life on our planet. The greenhouse effect on steroids. As the sun's energy output increases, the atmosphere's greenhouse effect would accelerate. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere, and with more solar energy reaching the planet, this effect would become increasingly intense. The polar ice caps would melt at an alarming rate, and sea levels would rise, flooding coastal areas around the world. With the increased temperature, areas that were once lush and green would dry up and wither away, turning into deserts. The delicate balance of ecosystems would collapse, and the Earth's climate would become far more volatile. Massive tropical storms, hurricanes, and other extreme weather phenomena would become the norm, devastating the planet's surface. A planetary crisis? Would humans survive? In a world with a sun twice as big, human survival would become incredibly challenging. The extreme heat would make it nearly impossible to live on the surface. Perhaps humans could retreat underground, seeking shelter in deep bunkers or tunnels. But even then, survival would be far from guaranteed. The atmosphere would become less stable, and the very air we breathe might become a toxic mix of gases. The water cycle would be disrupted, with evaporation rates skyrocketing and rainfall becoming a rare occurrence. In this scenario, Earth would no longer be a hospitable home for humanity. While it's hard to predict exactly how such a situation would play out, one thing is certain: humans would need to adapt in extraordinary ways if they were to survive at all. Space travel might become the only hope for escaping Earth's extreme conditions and finding a new home in another part of the solar system, or even beyond. The impact on other planets. While Earth would face the most dramatic changes, other planets in the solar system would also experience shifts in their orbits and environments due to the increased gravitational influence of the Sun. Planets like Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune could find themselves pulled into new orbits, leading to unpredictable consequences for these distant worlds. Mars, which is already a cold and barren place, might find itself in a more hospitable position in the solar system. However, it's unclear whether it would be able to support life, even with the Sun's increased energy. The asteroid belt, home to the largest dwarf planet, Ceres, might also see its own set of changes, potentially becoming more favorable for the development of life. Pluto, once considered the furthest planet from the Sun, could experience a significant shift in its orbit, and its icy surface might warm up, changing its characteristics in unpredictable ways. The farther reaches of the solar system could undergo profound transformations as a result of the Sun's expansion. Solar flares and their impact. Another consequence of a more massive Sun would be an increase in solar flares. Solar flares are massive bursts of energy and radiation from the Sun's surface. Currently, solar flares can disrupt communication systems, satellite operations, and electrical grids here on Earth. With a larger Sun, the frequency and intensity of these solar flares would rise, causing even more severe disruptions to our technology. Electrical grids might become unstable, and long-distance communication via radio waves would be disturbed. The Sun's increased power could also lead to more dangerous radiation storms, potentially damaging spacecraft and making space travel even riskier. The future of life in our solar system. If the Sun were to double in size, the future of life in our solar system would be uncertain. Earth, once a paradise of diverse ecosystems and thriving civilizations, would be rendered uninhabitable. But could life find a new home? Perhaps Mars, or even one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, could become potential candidates for human settlement. Yet even if we develop the technology to travel across the stars, the challenges of surviving in a sun that has doubled in size would be monumental. If this mind-boggling thought experiment left you questioning the very nature of our universe, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're ready for more wild cosmic scenarios and out-of-this-world knowledge, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell, because there's always something fascinating waiting for you here. Stay curious, stay amazed, and we'll see you in the next one.